If you are over 60, the wrong breakfast can quietly speed up muscle loss even when the rest of your day looks healthy. And the most dangerous part is this. Many older adults think they are eating light and smart when they are actually underfeeding the very muscles that keep them steady, independent, and strong. I'm Dr. Claire Bennett. Today, I want to show you 3 breakfast combinations that can help protect muscle, support strength, and make it easier to stay active longer without turning breakfast into a complicated project. Let's go straight to the key idea. After 60, breakfast matters more than many people realize. During the night, your body goes for many hours without food. That is normal. But when you wake up and follow that long fast with a breakfast that is mostly toast, jam, cereal, fruit juice, or coffee, your muscles do not get much of the raw material they need to repair and maintain themselves. That matters because muscle loss with aging is not only about how you look. It affects how easily you get out of a chair, how steady you feel on stairs, how fast you recover after an illness, and how long you can keep doing ordinary things without help. And here's where many older adults get caught. Breakfast is often the lowest protein meal of the day. Some people have a piece of toast. Some have oatmeal made only with water. Some have fruit and tea. Some skip breakfast completely because appetite is low in the morning. On paper, that may look harmless. In real life, it can leave you playing catch up for the rest of the day, and many people never fully catch up. Researchers and expert groups have repeatedly noted that older adults often need more protein than younger adults to help maintain muscle and function, and breakfast appears to be an especially useful place to improve that intake. Several reviews also suggest that eating more protein at breakfast may be linked with better muscle-related outcomes or a higher total daily protein intake in older adults. Now, I want to be careful here. This does not mean every person over 60 needs the same breakfast. It does not mean you need a bodybuilding diet. And it does not mean more is always better. If you have severe kidney disease, difficulty swallowing, digestive problems, diabetes, or you are on a medically prescribed diet, breakfast has to be personalized. But for many older adults, the simplest improvement is this. Stop thinking of breakfast as only a light starter and start thinking of it as your first muscle-protecting meal of the day. So what makes a breakfast better for muscle? I want you to think in 3 parts. First, you need a clear protein anchor. That is the part that tells your muscles, we have what we need to maintain and repair. For many older adults, experts often discuss aiming for roughly 25 to 30 grams of high-quality protein in a meal, and some research suggests older muscles may respond best when a meal reaches roughly 30 to 40 grams of protein. Second, you need a steady energy partner. That usually means a smart carbohydrate choice, not a sugar rush. Oats, whole grain toast, fruit, or beans can help you avoid the pattern of a quick spike followed by a crash that leaves you tired and hungry. Third, you need support nutrients. That can come from berries, yogurt, leafy greens, seeds, nuts, or other foods that bring fiber, minerals, and other nutrients into the meal. The goal is not just to eat protein. The goal is to build a breakfast that older adults can actually tolerate, enjoy, and repeat. With that in mind, let me show you the first combination. Breakfast combination number 1, Greek yogurt or cottage cheese, plus oats, plus berries, plus seeds or nuts. This is one of the most practical, muscle-friendly breakfasts for older adults because it is simple, soft, easy to adjust, and easy to prepare even on low-energy mornings. The protein anchor here is the Greek yogurt or cottage cheese. Dairy proteins are considered high-quality proteins, and yogurt also brings calcium. Reviews on protein sources in older adults note that high-quality protein intake supports muscle health, and yogurt has been discussed as a useful protein source with possible relevance for skeletal muscle maintenance. The National Institute on Aging also includes yogurt and oatmeal-based breakfast ideas in its sample menus for older adults. The steady energy partner is the oats. Oats slow the meal down. They make breakfast more filling. They are often easier on the stomach than a greasy breakfast, and they help turn a protein food into a true meal instead of a snack. Then come the berries and seeds. Berries add color, fiber, and a little natural sweetness without turning breakfast into dessert. Chia seeds, ground flax, pumpkin seeds, or chopped walnuts add texture, healthy fats, and a little extra protein. You do not need all of them. Even one small add-on can make the bowl more complete. Here is what this can look like in real life: a bowl of plain Greek yogurt, a scoop of rolled oats or soaked oats, a handful of berries, and a spoonful of chia or ground flax, or half cottage cheese, half Greek yogurt, topped with soft berries and a little crushed walnut. If chewing is an issue, use softer fruit, soak the oats, and keep the nuts finely chopped or skip them. Now here's the mistake I see all the time. People buy flavored yogurt that sounds healthy, but it is closer to a sweet snack than a muscle-focused breakfast. Or they use a very small spoonful of yogurt on top of a large bowl of granola, which flips the balance of the meal. The protein should be the foundation, not the decoration. Another mistake is choosing a breakfast that is technically healthy but too small. A few bites of yogurt and 2 strawberries may be fine as part of breakfast, but for many older adults, it is not enough to function as a meaningful, muscle-supporting meal. Who should be more careful with this combination? If you have severe kidney disease and have been told to limit protein, potassium, or phosphorus, speak with your clinician or dietitian before increasing dairy, nuts, or seeds. If your blood sugar tends to run high, choose plain yogurt and keep an eye on sweetened granola, honey, or large portions of dried fruit. If you struggle with constipation, this combination can actually be helpful for some people, but it works best when fluid intake is also adequate. And this breakfast is especially useful for a very common older adult problem: low morning appetite. Cold, soft foods often feel easier to manage than a heavy cooked breakfast. So for someone who says, "I know I should eat more protein, but I just can't face eggs at 7 a.m., this is often the better answer. Now let's move to breakfast combination number 2, eggs plus whole grain toast plus 1 extra protein boost plus vegetables. This is where I want to correct a very common misunderstanding. Eggs are a good breakfast food. They are convenient, familiar, and nutrient-dense. Egg protein has been linked to skeletal muscle health in the literature. But for many older adults, 2 eggs alone may still not be enough to create the strong protein signal that breakfast needs. That is why the combination matters more than the single food. So instead of thinking, "I had eggs, I'm done," think like this: "I had eggs, and then I built the rest of the plate around them." For example, you might have 2 eggs, 1 slice of whole grain toast, and a side of cottage cheese. Or 2 eggs, whole grain toast, and a few spoonfuls of plain Greek yogurt on the side. Or if it suits your taste and sodium needs, eggs with a modest portion of salmon and wilted spinach. The extra protein boost is what turns a decent breakfast into a muscle-protecting breakfast. The whole grain toast gives you steady fuel, which matters because muscle is not protected by protein alone. If you are underfueled, the body has a harder time maintaining itself well. And the vegetables give the meal volume, color, potassium, and a better overall nutrient pattern. The National Institute on Aging includes vegetable omelets with whole grain toast among its breakfast ideas for older adults, which fits this pattern very well. Now let me tell you who often does well with this breakfast. Older adults who say they are hungry in the morning, people who prefer savory foods, adults who feel weak by mid-morning after a sweet breakfast, and people who want something familiar rather than a bowl or smoothie. But there are cautions here too. The first is sodium. Many people take a good idea and surround it with salty processed meats. Bacon, sausage, and heavily processed breakfast meats may push the meal in the wrong direction, especially if you also have high blood pressure, heart failure, or fluid retention concerns. If you use smoked salmon, keep the portion sensible and watch the rest of the day's sodium. The second caution is swallowing and chewing comfort. Dry toast, rubbery eggs, and stringy vegetables are not enjoyable if you have dental issues or mild swallowing difficulty. In that case, softer scrambled eggs, avocado instead of dry toast, and cooked spinach or tomatoes may work better. The third caution is the protein illusion. This happens when the plate looks substantial because it is hot and cooked, but the protein is still modest. One egg on toast is not the same thing as a breakfast built to protect muscle. The appearance of the meal can fool you. So when you make this breakfast, ask yourself one simple question. Where is the real protein anchor, and is there enough of it to matter? That question alone can improve breakfast quality very quickly. Now to breakfast combination number 3, soy-based breakfast. Tofu scramble or high-protein soy smoothie, plus oats or fruit, plus nut or seed support. This one matters because not every older adult wants dairy, tolerates eggs, or feels like chewing a full plate first thing in the morning. And some older adults do best with a breakfast they can sip. Soy is worth talking about carefully. Soy foods can provide high-quality plant protein, and newer human research continues to support soy as a legitimate option for muscle health. In one 2024 study involving older adults in long-term care, soy protein-rich meals improved muscle mass and walking performance over 12 weeks. Reviews on protein sources in older adults also support the idea that both animal and plant proteins can contribute to muscle health when total intake and meal quality are adequate. So if you do not eat dairy or eggs do not sit well with you, this is not a second-best option. It can be a very smart option. A tofu scramble with soft vegetables can work beautifully, or a smoothie made with fortified soy milk, soft tofu or soy yogurt, a spoonful of nut butter, some berries, and a little oats can be especially helpful for someone with low appetite, fatigue, or poor dentition. The key is to keep it balanced. Do not let the smoothie become mostly banana and juice with a splash of soy milk. That gives you a completely different meal. You want the protein source to be obvious and generous. This breakfast is often excellent for older adults who say, "I don't want to cook in the morning. I get full quickly. I need something softer. I'm trying to eat more plant-based foods." But again, there are wise cautions. Some soy foods are highly sweetened. Some are very low in protein despite sounding healthy. So read labels if you are relying on packaged drinks or yogurt alternatives. If you take levothyroxine for hypothyroidism, soy may affect absorption of the medication for some people, so timing matters. That does not mean you must avoid soy completely, but it does mean you should follow the medication instructions you were given and discuss timing with your clinician or pharmacist if this is your regular breakfast. Mayo Clinic and the NHS both note this issue. And if peanut butter feels too sticky or difficult to swallow, use powdered peanut butter, a thinner nut butter, or skip it and keep the smoothie simpler and safer. Now, before I tell you how to choose among these 3 combinations, I want to point out something important. The best breakfast for muscle is not always the breakfast with the fanciest ingredients. It is the breakfast you can repeat. That is what many people miss. They try one ambitious breakfast with too many steps, too many ingredients, and too much cleanup. Then they never make it again. A simpler breakfast that you will actually eat 4 or 5 times a week is far more valuable than a perfect one you make once. So how do you choose? Choose combination 1 if you need something cool, soft, easy, and quick. Choose combination 2 if you like savory food and want a more traditional breakfast plate. Choose combination 3 if you prefer plant-based eating, have low appetite, or need something easy to sip or chew. And if you rotate all 3, that can be even better, because variety helps prevent boredom. Now let me show you the deeper lesson behind all of this. The real issue is not just breakfast foods, it is breakfast structure. Many older adults grew up thinking breakfast had to be very light, or very quick, or mostly carbohydrate-based. toast, cereal, muffin, juice, coffee, maybe a banana. That pattern can feel normal because it is familiar, but familiar is not always supportive, especially when the body is changing. As we age, muscle becomes less responsive to small protein doses. Experts often describe this as a reduced anabolic response or anabolic resistance. That is one reason older adults may need a stronger protein signal per meal than younger adults. So when breakfast is mostly refined carbohydrate, two things can happen. First, you miss the chance to support muscle early in the day. Second, you may become hungrier, sleepier, or more snack-prone later, especially if the breakfast was low in protein and fiber. That is why the three combinations I showed you all follow the same hidden formula: a serious protein base, a steady energy partner, and one or two nutrient-rich additions. That pattern is what matters. Now let me give you 5 common mistakes I want you to avoid. Mistake number 1, thinking any breakfast with one protein food is enough. A single egg, a small yogurt, or a spoonful of peanut butter does not automatically make a breakfast protein-rich. Mistake number 2, letting sugar dominate the meal. Sweetened cereal, sweetened yogurt, pastries, or juice-heavy smoothies can crowd out the protein and fiber that make breakfast more useful. Mistake number 3, choosing a breakfast you cannot comfortably chew, swallow, or digest. At this stage of life, practicality matters. The healthiest breakfast in theory is not the best breakfast for you if it sits untouched on the plate. Mistake number 4, skipping breakfast after a poor night of sleep. Many older adults eat less on tired mornings. Unfortunately, those are often the mornings when the body benefits from structure the most. Mistake number 5, trying to fix the whole day with dinner. A very protein-heavy dinner does not always fully solve a low-protein morning. Breakfast is one of the easiest places to improve your protein distribution across the day, and studies suggest that protein at breakfast may matter more than many people assumed. Before we finish, let me answer the question many viewers will be thinking: how much protein do I personally need? There is no single number that fits every person, because body size, activity, illness, appetite, and kidney function all matter. But expert groups commonly suggest that many healthy older adults may benefit from around 1.0 to 1.2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight per day, with higher targets sometimes discussed for people who are more active or recovering, and lower or more carefully managed targets for those with certain kidney problems. The practical message is not that you must calculate everything at the breakfast table. The practical message is that a very low-protein breakfast usually does not help an older body stay strong. If numbers feel overwhelming, use this easier rule instead. Make sure breakfast contains a real protein center, not just a token amount. That means a meaningful bowl of Greek yogurt, not 2 decorative spoonfuls. It means eggs, plus an added protein support if your breakfast would otherwise be light. It means a soy smoothie built around soy, not just fruit. Now let me make this even more practical with 3 real-life examples. Let's say you are 72, you live alone, and your appetite is poor until about 10 in the morning. Combination 1 or 3 may fit you best, because both can be softer, easier, and less demanding than cooking a full, savory breakfast. A yogurt bowl or a soy smoothie may help you eat enough without feeling weighed down. Now let's say you are 68. You wake up hungry, and by 11 a.m., you often feel shaky, tired, or tempted by sweet snacks. Combination 2 may be the best place to begin, because a savory breakfast with eggs, toast, vegetables, and an extra protein source often holds people better through the morning than a pastry or cereal breakfast. And let's say you are 80, you are trying to protect strength after an illness or hospital stay, and meals still feel inconsistent. In that case, the smartest breakfast is usually the one that is easiest to repeat safely. That may be a soft yogurt bowl for a week. That may be a simple smoothie, or that may be scrambled eggs and cottage cheese if chewing is comfortable. After illness, consistency often matters more than variety at the beginning. I also want to say a word about fear. Sometimes older adults hear muscle loss discussed online in a way that sounds dramatic and hopeless. I do not want that for you. Yes, muscle loss with aging is real. Yes, it affects independence, but the goal is not to frighten you into eating perfectly. The goal is to help you notice where a small daily adjustment can work in your favor. A stronger breakfast is one of those adjustments because it is repeatable, practical, and closely tied to everyday function. And finally, do not judge your breakfast only by calories. Two breakfasts can contain similar calories and have very different effects on fullness, steadiness, and muscle support. A muffin and coffee may go down quickly, but they do not do the same job as yogurt and oats, or eggs and toast with added protein, or a balanced soy smoothie. For older adults, quality and structure often matter just as much as quantity. That is especially true when appetite is smaller and every meal has to work a little harder. Now, one more important point. Breakfast helps, but breakfast alone is not enough. Protein works best alongside movement. The evidence base on healthy aging and sarcopenia is very consistent on this. Nutrition and resistance-type activity work together better than either one alone. That does not mean you need a gym. It may mean chair stands, light resistance bands, carrying groceries safely, or short strength routines done consistently. So one of my favorite habits is this. Finish breakfast, then do 5 sit-to-stands from a sturdy chair if that is safe for you. Not fast, not as a test, just as a reminder to your body that the meal you ate has a job to do. That tiny pairing of breakfast plus movement is often more realistic than giving yourself a giant health plan you will not keep. And if you are worried that you have already lost strength, please hear this clearly. A better breakfast is not magic, but it is not too late either. Small improvements repeated consistently can make a real difference over time. Older adults often think the answer has to be dramatic. It usually does not. It is often more about correcting the quiet, daily pattern that has been working against you. Too little protein, too little structure, too much breakfast sugar, too much waiting until later in the day. So let me leave you with the simplest takeaway of all. If you are over 60, do not let breakfast be an afterthought. Make it one of the meals that protects your muscles. Use one of these 3 combinations: Greek yogurt or cottage cheese with oats and berries, eggs with whole grain toast, and an extra protein boost, or a soy-based scramble or smoothie built around real protein. Choose the one that fits your appetite, your teeth, your digestion, your budget, and your routine. Because staying strong longer is not only about avoiding illness, it is about protecting the little pieces of daily independence that muscle gives you. Standing, lifting, walking, recovering, and feeling steady in your own body. That is what breakfast can help support when it is built the right way. And that is why, after 60, a better breakfast is not a small thing at all. It is one of the quiet decisions that can help you stay stronger for longer. If this topic was helpful, keep the 1 breakfast rule in your mind tomorrow morning. Protein first, then build the rest around it. That one shift can change much more than people expect.